If your phone rang at 3:13 a.m. and the caller ID showed your own number, would you answer? Because one guy in Seattle did. And 3 days later, he disappeared. Police found his apartment, his wallet, his keys, his phone. Everything was still there, except him. And the creepiest part? The voicemail was still saved. Nobody has ever explained it. His name was Ethan, 28 years old, quiet guy, worked remotely, lived alone in a small apartment building near downtown Seattle. Nothing unusual about him. No enemies. No drama. No strange history. Just an ordinary guy with an ordinary life. Until Tuesday night. Ethan had fallen asleep on the couch while watching TV. Around 3:13 a.m. His phone suddenly rang. Half asleep, he reached over and looked at the screen. Then he froze. Because the caller ID showed his own phone number. Not a private number. Not unknown. His exact number. Every digit. First he thought it was a glitch. Maybe spam. Maybe a weird app bug. So he ignored it. A few seconds later, a voicemail notification appeared. Now that made no sense. How do you miss a call? From yourself. Curious, Ethan opened it. The recording started with static. Just soft crackling. Then breathing. Heavy breathing. Slow. Uneven. Ethan laughed nervously. Very funny. He thought one of his friends was messing with him. Then a voice spoke. And the smile disappeared from his face. Because the voice was his. Not similar. Not close. Exactly his voice. And it said, Ethan, don't go to work tomorrow. Silence. Then, if you leave the apartment, you'll see me. End of message. Ethan replayed it 5 times. His hand started shaking. There had to be an explanation. Maybe AI. Maybe editing. Maybe someone copied his voice. Right? The next morning, Ethan called his best friend Ryan. Ryan laughed. Bro, you're watching too many horror movies. Ethan laughed too. But not because he thought it was funny. Because pretending to laugh felt safer. That entire day, something felt wrong. Little things. Tiny things. Things he couldn't explain. When he made coffee, he could have sworn someone walked past his kitchen doorway. But nobody was there. When he looked out his window, a man in a gray hoodie stood across the street. Just standing there. Watching. Not moving. Ethan blinked. The man was gone. That night, 3:13 a.m. His phone rang again. Same number. His number. This time Ethan answered. Silence. For 6 seconds. Then breathing. Then his own voice whispered. Why did you answer? The call ended. Ethan sat frozen. No movement. No sound. Nothing. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 knocks. At his apartment door. Slow. Heavy. Ethan looked at the clock. 3:14 a.m. His body locked up. Another knock. He walked quietly toward the door. No peephole. Old building. Old doors. Old locks. He leaned closer. Silence. Then, a voice outside whispered, Ethan. He stopped breathing. Because it was his voice. His exact voice. Ethan stepped back immediately. No, absolutely not. He grabbed his phone and opened the security camera app for the hallway. The camera pointed directly outside his apartment. He looked at the screen. Nothing. Empty hallway. No one there. No movement. No person. But then, something changed. At the very end of the hallway, a figure slowly stepped into view. Gray hoodie. Head lowered. Standing perfectly still. Ethan stared. The person lifted their head. And Ethan dropped his phone. Because he was looking at himself. Same face. Same eyes. Same clothes. Everything. Except one thing. The thing on the screen. Was smiling. Ethan wasn't. Police reports later showed Ethan called 911 at 3:17 a.m. The dispatcher said he sounded terrified. Barely able to speak. He kept repeating. It's me. It's outside. It's looking at me. Then screaming. Then static. Call ended. Officers arrived 7 minutes later. Apartment door locked. No signs of forced entry. TV still on. Phone on the floor. Wallet. Keys. Shoes. Everything untouched. Except Ethan was gone. Security footage from the hallway was recovered. Detectives watched it frame by frame. At exactly 3:15 a.m., the camera glitched. Just for 2 seconds. When the footage returned, apartment 307 door was open, and 2 figures walked inside. Not 1, 2. Both looked exactly like Ethan. Only one ever came out. Police never released the footage. Officially, they called it a missing person case. Unofficially, one detective retired 6 months later. Before leaving, he told a reporter something strange. He said, "I watched that footage once, and I swear, the Ethan who walked out was smiling." Long pause. So tonight, if your phone rings after 3 a.m., and the caller ID shows your own number, maybe let it ring, just in case. Something on the other side sounds exactly like you. And remember, some calls aren't meant to be answered.